This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
Hello out there, good afternoon. This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken. What do I say? It's I should have said a very good Sunday, very sunny one, but a bit of a sober one as we join the Access holding family as they mourn the passing away of our dear friend and business partner. All of us at Classic FM and The Discourse would like to say our condolences to the passing, and of course with deepest sympathies to the families of Herbert Wigwe and his loved ones. Like you know, he was not just a great banker but a great friend, and he had prodigious talent, admirable personal qualities, and vast experience which he brought not only to Access Bank but the corporate world in Nigeria. So we use this opportunity to say that may his good soul and that of his family, who were caught up in the unfortunate tragedy, rest in peace.
This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
We are going to discuss the impact and importance of African Cup of Nations on Africa and the African economies. And we'll now bring it down to AFCON and say, what does it take to host AFCON? What are those benefits you get? And then we'll talk about, if we have time, because we have a great resource today who is going to dissect these issues. I have the privilege of introducing my guest for today. It couldn't have been a better resource. I'm talking about, since we are going to discuss the economics of sports and then bring it down to AFCON, I managed, and he gracefully agreed to stay with us for the next 15 minutes. I'm talking about Tilewa Adebajo. Tilewa, welcome to the program, The Discourse.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ken. How are you today?
Well, I'm okay in the context of what has befallen us, but it's okay. Life is like that. How are you today, Tilewa?
Well, my two friends, I'd like to use this opportunity to send out my condolences to the families of Ogunbanjo and Wigwe. Herbert was somebody I knew very well from my working days at working with GT Bank, and also Bimbo Ogunbanjo was also very close friends. We went to primary school together, and so these are two close friends, and it was just extremely devastating, not to talk about the loss of his wife, Herbert's wife also, and his dear son. So I'd like to use this opportunity to send my condolences to both the Ogunbanjo and the Wigwe family. May the souls of the departed rest in peace.
Amen. As is traditional with The Discourse, let me just take a very brief profile of my guest today, Tilewa Adebajo. Tilewa Adebajo is CEO at CFG Advisory, specializing in the core areas of corporate finance, business management, investment banking, private equity, and economics. With early experience and development in international financial markets on Wall Street, Tilewa Adebajo has in the last 20 years focused on the frontier of emerging African markets. His involvement includes economic policy, project finance, private equity, and consulting. Tilewa has transaction experience in the US, Europe, Asia, and across Africa. Tilly is also a well-sought-after media pundit and a sports business analyst. He is also the chairman of Stationary Stores Football Club of Lagos. And the topic today is the impact and importance of the African Cup of Nations, AFCON, on Africa. Should I go into it? Tilewa, like I said, we're going to discuss AFCON, of course, as much as possible, but maybe we'll put context to this, how big this property is, because I'm talking about football now, the economics around football, the business around football and sports, football as an instrument of government policy and strategy, football and sports as a national security tool, if you will. So the first question I should ask, and I'm very sure that a lot of our informed audience there is waiting for that. Nigeria has many challenges, chief of which is unemployment and youth redundancy. Can sports, if well thinker, help to solve some of these socioeconomic problems?
Without a doubt. We have a population of 200 million people, and if you take a look at the demographic of that population, 80% of that population is under 40 years old. And if you delve, if you like, drill further down into that analysis and data, you find out that most of the population in Nigeria is under 30 years old. About 80% of the Nigerian population is under 30 years old. So with this sort of potential, we must have, if you have that sort of pool, if you take a look at Jamaica, for instance, what's the population of Jamaica? Considering the fact that they're developing world-class sprinters within that population base. It's not, they're working at a very high level because there's intensity. Because a country that small should not be, but of course they're focused on sprinting. They can't really do other sports. They're not that good in football. But with the size of our population, we should be Olympic champions in everywhere, both normal Olympics and Winter Olympics. Because we have the population pool and the talent. But unfortunately, we're not developing this talent. We're not nurturing this talent. And, so with that, like everything else in Nigeria, things are going to waste.
That takes me into the next question. So can sports especially be used as an instrument of foreign policy positioning? And you know what I mean? Because there's the economics of it, but there are countries that have deliberately used this, even as sports foreign policy strategy and positioning.
Without a doubt. What has the United States done with basketball? They're taking basketball to the rest of the world, and they're using it but for policy, but for diplomacy, and basketball is now being played all over the world, which wasn't so the same. The same thing with football. Football has become a global sport and has become an instrument of diplomacy around the world. Because, with football games and countries competing in football, you bring people together, you bring presidents together, and there's competition. And afterwards, you begin to understand those cultures, those countries, and those sorts of things. So the power of sports is immense in terms of cultural integration, economic integration, and also diplomatic integration.
Fantastic. I'm going to touch on culture because that area really resonates with me. Of course, in the context of football and then AFCON, which is the subject of today.
This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
Is there anything like the Nigerian Football League? If yes, how big and how organized is it? Because you watch South Africa play against Nigeria in the semi-finals of AFCON. Yes. I was counting the number of players in the South African team that came out from their local league, and I tried to do the same thing for Nigeria. I found none, zero.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? Do we have a league?
Well, unfortunately, to answer your question directly, we do not have a football league in Nigeria in the modern sense of it. What we have in Nigeria is what I would call maybe some sort of organized football.
Okay.
But what has happened in the last 2 years is that a company called GTI has actually bought some of the rights to the Nigerian Football League or the Nigerian Professional Football League, and they're trying to put some semblance of order into that league to make it work. One of the challenges we've had in the Nigerian football, which you wouldn't believe, is the fact that referees have always been compromised. The league did not have the funding to pay for the referees, and consequently the home teams have to undertake their expenses. So you find out that the league has been rigged for a very long time, which is rather unfortunate. Now we're seeing signs of change. With any football league, there are key components that make up any professional football league. In the days gone beyond past or last 2 years, even if you won the Nigerian Premier Football League, you are not going to make any money.
Okay.
That is the reason why I don't play in the Nigerian Premier Football League, because there is no money to be made. You have to spend money. Most of the teams now spend on average of about between 800 million to 1 billion naira a year to pursue the league, because they have to travel all over the country. And at the end of the day, there is no prize money. Last year, I think the winner of the league got 100 million.
$100 million?
100 million naira.
Oh, naira.
Yes. So we don't have TV rights. There's no TV deal, which is a big firm, as you know. Each Premiership club in England, in comparison, got £100 million each from their TV deals. There's no merchandising. There's no gate takings. There's no product, and there's no product that is marketed. When we were growing up, I could name the first 11 of Enugu Rangers from the back of my hand. Both Bendel Insurance and, of course, my own team, Stationery Stores and Shooting Stars. I knew the first 11. I knew the first 11 of the national team. Today, I cannot name the first 11 of the Nigerian national team. If you ask any young child today growing up who is the highest goal scorer in the Nigerian Premier League, nobody knows that person. If you tell anybody to name Warri Wolves for you, or Enyimba, or Shooting Stars, or Remo Stars, nobody will tell you who the stars of that is. So we've not marketed this product. So if you do not, especially now in the era where we had TV, and of course the product is not attractive. If you had an Afrobeat concert at Onikon Stadium now with Ashake, Davido, or Burna Boy, it would be a sold-out concert. But if any football team in the Premier League was playing at Onikon Stadium, you have to beg them to. They leave the gates open, and they try to give them incentives to come in to watch. So nobody feels that that asset or product is worth paying the ticket price to enter for. So you haven't really developed a product, which is what football is right now. So the alternative is the Ashake concerts. Even the evangelist people, they pack Onikon Stadium now. When they have a revival, the place is full. So the churches and the Afrobeats are the ones that are able to attract the crowd right now, and we still don't have a product. So, as you know, football is a global business, and the model for football is universal, or even sports itself is universal. So if you cannot create that channel whereby you can get corporate sponsorship into it, then you're kidding. Ethiopian League is being showed on DSTV right now. The South African PSL is being showed on DSTV, and they are generating close to $800 million a year in revenues. Our GDP is bigger than that of South Africa. So we have companies in this country today that can put up that money to support football. But unfortunately, because of the way it's structured, then it doesn't work. And of course, you take a look at the legislation. Legislation is still, football is still regulated. You have what you call a Decree 101, which has now curtailed into Act 101. And, people have messed up the whole area of trying to reform football. So you cannot legislate football. So right now in Nigeria, the person in charge of football in Nigeria is the Minister of Sports. So the football still has a budget from the National Assembly. So what we are looking for is that the government needs to give us a charter, just like the chartered accountants or the architects or the lawyers, Nigerian Bar Association. So, okay, make it Nigerian Football Association. Okay, give us a charter and let the football people go and run football. You don't need a law for football. You don't have a law for boxing. You don't have a law for basketball. There are too many sports. So you just provide the charters and let government do the support. So both the legal and the regulatory framework is wrong in Nigerian football. And that is why I don't bother to play football. I have a few sponsors who have been supporting us for the last 10 years.
You're talking of stationery stores?
Stationery stores. Okay. But I'm not going to put most of the teams, as you see, 95% of the teams are owned by state governments. So for state governments, it's okay for them to run the football. They can afford to leave the stadium open because they're using taxpayers' money. So most of our footballers in Nigeria are civil servants. And then the few private clubs are owned by high net worth individuals. And then maybe one of them are owned by churches. A church used to own a football club at a point in time. So those are the only people that can afford to play in this kind of league. And of course, the structure within the Nigerian Football Association is not the best. So, and all our players are leaving at the wrong time. They're not playing in the league before they move. There was a time when I will name two players for you that we all are very fond of. One called Kanu and Finidi George, including JJ Okocha too. Finidi George used to play for Calabar Rovers, and he got noticed in the league, and he was now moved to Sharks of Port Harcourt. From Sharks of Port Harcourt, Finidi George left Nigeria and went into the first team of Ajax and displaced Mark Obermans. Kanu Wankwo used to play for Iwanyanwu National. We recruited him for stationery stores. He played for us when we were playing the African Champions League.
Okay.
We got all the way to the semi-finals before we got knocked out. Now, those Kanu Nwankwo were left Nigeria from Iwanyanwu National and eventually made his way to Ajax. And both Finidi George and Nwankwo Kanu won the Champions League the very next year.
For Ajax. Yeah.
So these are players then whereby players proved themselves in the Nigerian league before they moved abroad.
Yes.
So even the likes of Westerhoff, our success in winning the AFCON in 94 and our performance in USA 94 was based on local-based players when we had a strong
that was the base,
professional
yes.
league. Yes. So if we cannot go back to that era, what you find now is that you are dependent on a lot of players that are in diaspora,
leagues,
who are born in England or born in France or born in Netherlands, who grew up there and then they've made their way. They can't make it to the national team there. Then you bring them in. It's okay, but we have a pool of talent in Nigeria, and if we do not develop that talent, then it's there. And lastly, one of the things that is killing Nigerian football is age cheating.
Okay.
Nigerian footballers have what you call their football age and their real age.
Okay.
So by the time they get abroad, they are old and they are not declaring their real age. So we need to stamp that out from here, so that by the time you're registering players here, you can do that. And our registration system for players is very poor and porous and corrupted. So if I register a player now and he's playing for me, if you go and bribe the people in the NFF, they can register you, that player, in the same league the same year, and he will not do his transfer from me. So we've compromised our transfer system. So until we manage the player management system, and of course the structure in itself are the big challenges that we're having. So if you don't have this, it's difficult to attract the corporate sponsors into the game.
Yeah. Now the league, you see, we discussed this since. In fact, I've sat in many circles where we laugh about it, but meanwhile, this is just a tragedy, we see low-hanging fruit, like we say. We see things that we can quickly turn around. I mean, before Nigeria made it to the quarterfinals, everybody had, we were sniffing. I mean, they said Nigeria was wobbling and fumbling, in the tournament. Nobody had interest. Once it was quarterfinal, all our top federal government officials bought their tickets. Semi-finals, it was a jamboree. Everybody is dancing. But we do not harness the benefits that come up even when we win. So you begin to wonder, and this cycle goes over and over again. What exactly is wrong with our managers? Or is it that we don't have managers, or we don't understand the difference between knowing and understanding?
Well, thank you for that question. I think, most politicians like to reap where they haven't sown. I was speaking to the corporate CEO of a big company, and I asked him, I've been asking him for the last 2 years to sponsor my team, even if it's only on a cash and kind. And he was laughing at me and saying that, what league am I even playing in now? I said, the league I play in depends on the money that I'm able to raise.
Yes.
If people like you don't give me money, how can I play in the Premiership? If you want me to play in the Premiership, then back my team. So a lot of them don't have this basic understanding to start with, that you need to invest in the game and you need to open up the game and leave the game in a way where things are going, which is what I tell a lot of people, that everything in Nigeria has to be like, let's say, the telecom and the banking industry, whereby the telecom operators are doing their thing, they're moving their business along, and you have an NCC that regulates them. So you have the banks that are going along. We don't have any government-owned banks anymore, but at least the banks are private, they're driven. So what I'm now saying is that there's a CBN that regulates the bank. So in anything you're doing, nobody's saying that you can't have a charter. The national team, the Green Eagles or the Super Eagles, if you want to call them, is a national asset.
Oh, yes.
We recognize that. So you make the legislation saying that, okay, the Super Eagles are a national asset, and then you put a charter for the people who are in the business to go and run it and produce the national team. So, and that's what it's all about. But you see, when the whole system is corrupted, you don't even have your statutes, you're arguing about it, and everybody's there just to go for the ride and make the money, then you lose it. So why is government putting money into football?
I wonder.
Government cannot. You are using 98% of your revenues to service debt. Why worry about funding football when it's an asset that can if you
fund
structure
itself
it,
and then
can
become
fund
a
itself
huge contributor to
and
our
be a
GDP.
contributor. So you can now tax it, and the English, the Premier League, the UK government is making £5-6 billion a year in taxes from the Premier League. So that's why it's in their interest to make sure that the police people are there to ensure that there's order, there's security, and all that. So it's in their interest to be able to keep a special police unit for football, because you know that you are making £6 billion pounds a year from this.
That product
venture.
equity has to be protected.
Exactly, and I like that word you use, product equity. So when you don't have the right structures in place, it's not going to flourish. So and that's really where we have the challenge. Dr. Ken, with football. So the jamboree will come once again, and then
it disappears. We celebrate, we dance.
Yeah. So I
even see state governors in viewing centers jumping all over the place. And I'm saying,
there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm asking myself, what's going on here? Do you know the story around this? Do you know the economics? Do you know the business around it?
Exactly. It's okay for them to jump around it and support. It's our team. It's our assets. We're all happy that our team is doing well. Yeah. But when you step back a bit, try to do the right thing to ensure this thing can flourish, so that we can win the World Cup, or we can get to the World Cup finals. Nigeria missed the last World Cup. Yeah. So
more importantly, engage our youth meaningfully, deploy them.
Exactly.
The restiveness will come down. The issues of security.
Football is an industry.
Yes.
If you can develop it, it will create employment. And like you said, engage the youth at all levels.
Yes. Okay, Tilewa, let's talk. We're getting into the African Cup of Nations proper. Our topic today, like I said, is the impact and importance of the African Cup of Nations, and you can see that Tilewa Adebajo has built the context. Now, if you didn't know how important this property called football is, you now know.
This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
Now, let's talk African Cup of Nations. Like I said, why do nations scramble to secure hosting rights of football tournaments? And in this case, AFCON. Why? I mean, what's the economics around hosting, and what is the social impact from hosting such tournaments?
Thank you very much. One of the biggest reasons why you host a tournament, which most people don't seem to understand, is that it gives you an opportunity to upgrade your infrastructure. So hosting a tournament is simply the government wanting to upgrade its infrastructure.
Okay.
So
when you say infrastructure, for the benefit of all demographics and economic listeners. Yes.
So the tournament is just the end product. Okay. So what you do is, we want to host a tournament, and by hosting a tournament, what happens is that means that we need to upgrade all our stadiums.
Okay.
We need to upgrade to ensure that our tourism infrastructure is right.
Yes. Transport system.
Then our transport systems. Do we have the right things? Do we need to build the metro, the hospitality, the hotels? Do we have enough hotels? Then you can let people know that, look, we're hosting a tournament in 4 years. Then investors begin to come to build hotels.
Yes.
Then all you need to do is focus on government and say, we need to upgrade our hotels, we need to upgrade our hospitals, and more importantly, we need to upgrade our transport infrastructure.
Yes.
We need to upgrade our road infrastructure, and so it gives you an opportunity. Also, they're going to be landing at your airport, which is a showcase area. So you need to know that we're going to have to upgrade all our airports. The biggest beneficiary of this, as you can see, is South Africa when they hosted the World Cup. They put in a metro train in Johannesburg.
I enjoyed it. I was there.
There was a big thing. They expanded the Oliver Tambo Airport.
Yes.
If you were traveling to Cape Town and Durban prior to the World Cup, you realize that those were like provisional airports. Even in those days, maybe Kano Airport was even much better than Cape Town. But because of the World Cup, they spent that money in infrastructure. They improved their road network. And even a lot of all those projects now have already paid for themselves.
Yes.
The Gautrain now had a concession which is now running out this year, and it would have been fully paid out, and the concessionaires, I think, might return or renew. So, first of all, what happens when you host a tournament is that it gives the government an opportunity to upgrade your infrastructure. Then, of course, it brings prestige to your whole country.
Yes.
And then, of course, you can, if you are a tourist destination, then you can help to improve your tourism and create employment for within that sort of period. And more importantly, I think that is really what it does, because it really helps the government, showcase your country, let people know that your country can be an investment destination. And, of course, as you can see now, the focus has been on Ivory Coast for the last 1 month.
Yes.
So where are you going to get that kind of popularity?
And share of mind,
publicity? Yes.
And
in these days of digital media,
yes,
you can see that Ivory Coast has been trending for over a month now. And the interest has been picking up. It's been exciting.
Yes.
It's been well organized. And, everybody is like, if you want to go to watch the finals, I got a ticket. The ticket I got for my category 1 seats in the stadium, my airfare on economy is about 2 million naira. Wow. So it just made no sense for me to go and to the there because, that shows you the demand for that. So 2 million naira to go to Ivory Coast return, that money will get me to London easily.
Yes.
So
and with the logistics of hotels.
Exactly, hotels and everything. So
feeding,
it's just out of reach. So I couldn't buy my tickets for the finals. So even the semifinals. So it's a business, and hosting gives you business. It improves your infrastructure, and you help impact your GDP and the well-being of your economy as a whole. So that's really what it's all about.
$7 million prize money for the winner of AFCON 2023. Tilewa, is this enough? For the man on the street, when you hear $7 million, you say, wow, this is incredible, this is magnificent. But we know today is the Super Bowl, and we know what's going on there. Can you imagine? $7 million for the winner of AFCON. Is this enough motivation, and how do CAF raise funds? Where do we go from here? And can you please create that link between what's happening with the and then $7 million? It sounds good. It sounds big.
It is.
But this is hygiene money if you consider what's happening in America today.
If you take that $7 million and you bring it into naira, that's about close to 8 or 9 billion naira or 9 billion naira. So which is a lot of money, and which is the money that the FA can actually use to run football properly in Nigeria if the money goes to the right places. Okay, apart from all the money they've collected from the government to start with, which is where my problem is. But if you take a look at it in perspective of AFCON, AFCON probably did about 75 million this year, or just under 100 million in revenues for this AFCON. In terms of like what they were able to raise, and they put down about $15 million for prize money. And the winner will get $7 million. So every team that participated will share from the 15 million, but the winner will get 7 million. And there's a scale, as to how you are doing, third place and all those sort of things. But everybody gets a fair bit of money. But $7 million is the cost of a 30-second commercial at the Super Bowl.
Hold it there. This $7 million they're going to give the winner today is the cost of 30 seconds
commercial
in Super Bowl in
Super Bowl in America.
Less than a minute. Commercial.
Yes, 30-second commercial is $7 million for the Super Bowl tonight. The Super Bowl tonight will generate $500 million. And the NFL as a league generates $20 billion a year. So, what I'm trying to say is that when you take a look at those numbers, I'm not even talking about Premier. It's not even the Premier League is not and the league of the NFL.
Yes.
So the Premier League and even the European leagues and the champions, they're not at that league. So what they're trying to say is the fact that you're looking. The NBA does $10 billion a year in revenues and baseball also. So when you take a look at this from AFCON's perspective, it's not bad because this is the highest amount they've ever given.
It's a record amount.
It's a record amount. But what I'm trying to say is that with someone like Mopese there now as CAF president, I hope he can now begin to. I'm not very happy with the deal with Total Energies. I think we were undersold. And the problem with rights in Africa is the fact that we continue to undervalue our assets. So I think what they should do is to let people like us come in and actually package these assets and then bid. You see, bid this asset, because if the South African League can generate $800 million in a year for sponsorship, then there's something wrong with our pricing for a big continental tournament like AFCON. So because even if you take a look at the oil companies in Nigeria alone, the Dangotes, the Otedolas and all the other people here, the Boas, by the time they see value in sponsoring these assets or looking for because Dangote is also Pan-African.
Oh, yes.
So he also can get value. So I believe that if we repackage this, we can get more out of it. But there's some undervaluation going on that I'm not comfortable with calf pricing. But again, you can see that while it's record money, I believe that more can be done from these assets. Because they're also doing some Super League now, which has been attracting a premium. But so we'll see what happens going forward.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for that. So let's, in fact, while you were speaking, something went into my head since you were talking numbers. Let's look at these numbers, Tilewa. Top 5 highest paid athletes of all time. First is Michael Jordan, $3.3 billion. Second is Tiger Woods, $2.5 billion. Third is Arnold Palmer, $1.6 billion. Fourth is Jack Nicklaus, $1.6 billion. Fifth is Cristiano Ronaldo, $1.58 billion. In fact, it goes on and on. Seventh, in fact, is Lionel Messi with $1.8 billion. In your own opinion, why is there no African in this bracket? Is it this same packaging, or they've not? We don't understand how to put brands together, how to build them from the DNA, the equity, and how to take them to the market, the route to market. What is their weakness around this?
Okay, this for me is where my challenge is with African players. Osimhen was 80 million euros when he was transferred.
Yes.
I think that's the largest amount of transfer we've seen. And that's the problem I tell this is how we undervalue our assets.
Assets, yes.
Because what we are doing in Nigeria, I tell my NFF people, is you are doing human trafficking. There's no, Osimhen left this country maybe for $50,000. So there's so many fly-by-night people here that say they are running football and they think it's a business, and they will, can you imagine, some people who call themselves, they say they are a traveling team. They don't play in any competitive league.
Whatever that means.
Okay, they don't play in any competitive league, but they tell players that if you want to travel, you join my team. So what they do is they play tournaments between themselves and around, and then eventually they will put money together for some business investors, and they'll take players abroad, and they'll go and scout, or they'll go and look for scouts abroad to come and look at tournaments, and they'll take them. Eventually, all these players go for pittance, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000. So the Europeans have looked at African players as, they look down on the African players and they tend to undervalue them. They say, okay, look, you're doing an African player, there's no, it's a gamble we're taking, it's a risk we're taking. But it wasn't a risk when Finidi left Sharks and went into the first team of Ajax, or Kanu Nwankwo did the same thing. He played in Inter Milan before he went to Ajax, had his heart problem, and then he later did his surgery and went back to Arsenal, where he blossomed. But what I'm trying to say is that you see, because of the way players are living now, the transfer is no longer club to club. It's not as if Arsenal is coming to meet stationary stores in Lagos.
So there's no basis for negotiation.
This and that.
It's almost like in the black market.
Yes,
you buy African players from the black market.
Exactly. It's just like agents. So say, okay, well, we'll take a chance on him and see what he has to do, but I can't offer you more than 50. And then, but these guys, they take their 50,000 naira, they change it back to naira, $50,000, bring back to naira, and they're happy along those lines. So if you do not put value on your players, then it's not going to be there. But we are now beginning to see players that are emerging, especially from Senegal and Egypt. Like Mo Salah, Sadio Mane.
Papsa now in Tottenham.
Exactly. So you see, those are beginning to
change the conversation.
Exactly. So, and of course, you are beginning to see people like Joel Embiid, who is playing in the NBA and who are beginning to become rising stars and who are beginning to earn significant dollars. So the money really is all those sports you've mentioned. You find out that there are very few footballers in there. The big money is in basketball, American football, golf, and Formula One. And we have not yet reached we don't have the standard of living that is doing that. But our boys are beginning to break into basketball. They've broken into football. And, so basically with time, but our focus really has been on soccer. And, right now, the top person we have in soccer is Osimhen.
Okay.
But if we change the way we transfer players, we develop our league, and these players there's television and media exposure for our league, then our players can now begin to go for.
We can right size them and right price them.
And we can right size and right price. That's
so this takes me again now Cup of Nations proper and the questions that will come thereof. So will there be a knock-on effect for Nigeria and Nigerians if Nigeria ends up winning the Cup of Nations today? If so, I mean, if yes, what is the knock-on effect? And if we don't win, would there equally be knock-on effect?
It doesn't matter. When you win, what you do is the euphoria is.
How do we harness that?
Well, I mean, that's feel-good factor in Nigeria. That's going to last for 1 week. Then that will, Egypt has won it 7 times, Cameroon 5, Ghana 4. We've won it 3 times. Cote d'Ivoire has won it twice. So if we win it now, then we'll now add an additional one to our title. We'll win it 5 times. And, so it's good. It maintains our class and superiority as a football powerhouse. We bring in $7 million to the Nigerian Football Association. But the question now is that how does that trigger the development of football in Nigeria, both at the men's and the women's level? The women's apparently are doing better than the men. So that's something to say. Kudos to the women footballers because they are doing better than our men. So I think with this victory, I think the men will redeem themselves, and hopefully we can use it to regenerate our football and not politicize it, because we tend to politicize these victories, and we don't understand how to to harness it. So what that means is that when you do that, you're supposed to encourage more kids that want to play football, and it tests the popularity of football, and then you're able to bring in more tournaments to get more people involved, and to be able to use that opportunity to get more people to start coming to the stadium. Okay. Because nobody comes to the stadium. So these are the things that a win can help us with, to get people to start at least supporting the game at the local level, and not just watching the Premier League on their TV screens, or La Liga and all the top European leagues. So that, and even if we lose, it doesn't really matter. We've gone to the final, and then we've given a good account of ourselves. I think that's really what matters. Okay.
So there are a couple of questions. Let me just take 1 or 2 or 3. He's saying, "Good afternoon, Dr. Ken. Please ask Tilewa Adebajo. He's such a huge resource to Nigeria, and I follow him no matter what the subject is. But how come he has not tried to become CAF president? At least that will help turn around this fortune of football."
Well, I can't even become chairman of Lagos State Football Association. So not to talk about NFA chairman or CAF president, because the process...
Because the way the things is arranged.
Yeah, the way these things are
done. From the beginning.
I'm not, my DNA is not geared in that direction. So, and I don't forget also that I'm a professional. Yes. And I have a very demanding business. So even to get to all these things and even to try to support it is not there. But I've served on the Lagos State Sports Council, and a lot of the ideas I have, I write them down and I send it to the powers that be for them to adopt. And I let them know very clearly that the reason Stationery Stores is not playing in football in Nigeria today is because the league is not properly organized. When the league is properly organized and I can make money from playing football, Stationery Stores will be back. Okay,
that's great. Now, the Nigerian coach, Pasero, I like to talk about the driver of a vehicle, because now he's driven us to the final. So let's talk about him a bit. Many Nigerians had judged him as incompetent before the tournament. They wrote him off. A top journalist, in fact, told me last week that with Pesero, Nigeria was not solving the problem. If anything, Nigeria was indeed dating the problem. The way he coined it, that Nigeria with this man was not solving the problem, that if anything, Nigeria was dating the problem. So what's your take on Pesero, and what brought him to the finals in your estimation?
Well, what was Pesero doing before he came to Nigeria? You see, in Africa, we tend to bring all these substandard coaches who have had so much experience in managing a Nations Cup, and especially in the Francophone, they circulate them.
Like mercenaries. Almost.
Yes, not really mercenaries, but I would call them substandard coaches, because they are white, and we have this mentality. So I was very happy when Keshi won the
Cup of Nations.
Cup of Nations for us, because my own problem is the fact that you've had all these players since USA 94. And unfortunately, a lot of our players are not going into coaching. A lot of the top, a lot of top African players have not been able to succeed going through the coaching ranks. So you create people like this. So, well, he comes in and maybe he has some sort of stabilizing effect. But if you take a look at his record, we didn't make it to the World Cup. He couldn't qualify us, and he got into this tournament. This tournament has been quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because 8 of the teams that made it to the quarterfinal in the last AFCON did not make it to the quarterfinals of this AFCON. So it was an interesting tournament. So I think, and if you take a look at the team itself, I think what got us to the final is the fact that for the first time, I think we had a good team spirit.
Okay.
There was, I could see a lot of the players were ready to play for each other. They were not selfish. And even Osimhen himself knew that he was being marked, and he was using himself as a decoy, which allowed Lookman to have scored as many goals as he scored.
Yes, scored so far.
So what I saw was unselfishness among our boys and a big team spirit. If that is what Presario has done, then all credit to him. And I think that teamwork is football, and teamwork more than individual skills sometimes prevail. So I think, yes, with the teamwork of the boys and the luck of the draw, as they say, I think has propelled them to this level. Because, the game against South Africa could have gone either way. Yeah. So, so the luck of the draw too. So, that's what's gotten them far. But if you take a look at this, if I had to look at it pound for pound in terms of skills, I think there are many Nigerian teams that had better players than this one.
Than the current one. Okay, talking about team and individuals who play vital roles, like we have seen in defense in football, how vital, especially people at the back, the defense. In fact, even from the Bible, if you go to Genesis chapter 4, verse 9, what does it say there? And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. And am I my brother's keeper? If you look at Stanley Bobo Nwabali, has he been his brother's keeper so far? And that's the goalkeeper of the Super Eagles.
Interesting. Like I said, all-round team effort.
Okay.
I think that, he was underrated.
Yeah.
He wasn't given a chance, but he got to that stage and he's proven himself. And like that's what I've said, that's impressed me, that I think this is the most cohesive team in terms of these players are all together playing for each other. What killed us in USA 94 was the selfishness amongst our players, because there was no reason why that team could not have gotten into the semifinals. So, and I think without a doubt, I think a lot of people started getting... They didn't want to give Rashidi Yekini the ball. If they had done that and they had played as a team, that USA 94 team had more, at least, I knew they would have gotten to the semifinals. If they could have proceeded to the finals is a different issue, but that was clearly a semifinal team. But, Westerhoff could not hold that team together in terms of creating the cohesiveness and the unity
and harmony,
and harmony within that team. So, Nwabali is done very well. I think, and all of them are all coming together as a team. And if you talk to any one of them, nobody's going to want to take credit for anything. They're all thanking each other's and the support for each other, and they're playing for each other, which is fantastic.
This is The Discourse with Dr. Ken.
If football, the way you've seen it, was business management, what department and role would Nwabali have been occupying, assuming it was a business? And the way you arrange businesses. Is he an auditor? Is he a financial controller? Is he a marketing
HR manager?
It would have been HR managers. Fantastic. So you can see how important the HR function is in the business context, because it holds everything together and then it calms people down. So in fact, these days it has transcended from just being HR to talent management.
He's leading from the back.
He's leading from the back.
Yeah.
I think I have seen Paul Ogonevo. He's asking why can Nigeria, he's in fact not asking, he's asserting that Nigeria can never host the AFCON. No, we can. If you listen to Tilewa, if we understand that property, understand the benefits thereof, a government that knows what it's doing can forecast and then say, if we get this right to host, then that will enable us build our infrastructure, build our transportation, build our social hospitality network, and all other benefits that come from it would follow. So you are not quite right to say that we can never host. Yes, we did host before. Yes. It's just that the government should move away from this thinking.
We've hosted twice.
Yes, we've hosted twice, actually, and we did it quite well. But did we harness it, and then did we sustain it? No. So, Tilewa, we are rounding down. As is customary on this program, you give us your proverb for the week, an African or Nigerian proverb, and afterwards your song for the week.
Okay, I've picked a song.
You picked a song, but
so
okay,
I like to announce
go straight
my
to
song.
your song. Okay, you announce your song, then I'll substitute. I'll give you the proverb.
Then I will now maybe come back and and release the proverb. But given the sad situation of the loss of my dear friends Herbert and Abimbola. I wanted to request a song, which is by a group called Rolls Royce. I'm sure you know Curtis Mayfield.
Yes.
Producer of legendary soul producer. And the song is I Wonder Where You Are Tonight. So that's the song I like to requests in memory of both Herbert and Abimbola.
Fantastic. Listeners, thank you very much for listening today. As we wind down, next week discourse. Last week was, in fact, fantastic for the discourse. We got that 21 days gun salute that was trending globally. There have been many reactions, and in fact, either between the 18th and 25th, I'm going to bring a urologist who has a different perspective to that subject, and we're going to treat it and just see how we can balance things off. But it was very, 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 very good that you listened and that you helped retweet and that you helped us follow that conversation of 21 days gun salute. So you have a blessed week ahead of you.
And that's it on The Discourse with Dr. Ken.